want me to take off? Okay. So there's a lot of things going on here, Macy, that you really need to fix. It, you have an idea of what you need to be doing, but you're kind of doing an exaggeration of it. So in the very beginning, your chest is kind of pointed down, like you're curling your chest down. You need to think about squeezing your chest up. Think about the bottom of your sternum and trying to point that up a little bit. And bring your hands in. That'll give you a little bit more of a shelf for that bar to stay on. Now, as far as your descent goes, as soon as you descent, you're not moving your knees at all. You're barely bending your knees. What you're doing is just pushing your butt back and then bending over all the way, and that's how you're getting your depth. Your knees need to go forward. If you hold them back too long, it's going to be real hard to get your hip drive, because for hip drive, your knees have to pull back in the squat, in the bottom of the squat. So think about, whenever you start your descent, think about hips and knees same time. Push your knees out to your toes. That's when they stop, and your butt does not stop. Those are the two main things that I'm really noticing: is get your chest up, fix your gaze in one spot. You're kind of moving your head as you're squatting. Point your nose at a spot and keep it there, and bend your knees, because you're just bending over with the weight.
Yeah, I agree. So when a lot of people will say like, oh, the starting strength squat looks like a good morning, they'll mean something like this. This is a very strong good morning. Whenever you actually get your knees into this, you're going to be able to add a very significant amount of weight. So that's really cool. I would recommend for a lot of people like this, if you're self-coaching at home, use the Tubo, terribly useful block of wood, and just try to knock it across the room, frankly. Hit it every single time you're going on your warm-ups to make sure that you're reinforcing the fact that your knees have to punch forward over your knee. If you are actively knocking it over the first few times, that's totally fine. Maybe even make that the goal for a little bit. That way you can just know your knees are getting into position. And then next thing is that so Rusty was talking about aiming your chest up, pulling that up, and your head is trying to do the same job when your head is bobbing up. If you are unable to coach yourself into a position of better thoracic extension and you can't get to see anybody, it may be a good card to play to just move your gaze up straight ahead of you to kind of try to replicate that the best that you can. So in the situation where, someone's having a hard time with thoracic extension, it's a good card to have to say, like, I'm going to change the position of my head to make sure that happens no matter what. It's pretty hard to have a hunched over chest and keep your head up at the same time. Normally the head will dictate that chest. So if you can't figure that out, move your head up. But otherwise, I think these are strong. They'll be a lot stronger whenever you get your knees in it.